Richard Feynman was famous for explaining the universe with extraordinary clarity. He could take an idea from quantum physics, remove the complicated language, and make it feel almost obvious. But there is another question worth asking. What happens when you apply that same Feynman-style thinking to something as simple as walking? Walking may look insignificant compared with intense workouts, heavy lifting, or highly structured training. But when you examine it carefully, walking affects far more than the number on a step counter. It can influence your physical health, your energy, your mood, your ability to think clearly, and even your chances of maintaining an active life over the years. And the most interesting part is this: you do not need to turn walking into a punishment. You need to understand how movement works, why consistency matters, and how to make activity simple enough to become part of your normal life. This is not a story about a miracle cure. It is a story about looking at an ordinary behavior with extraordinary curiosity. This is how Richard Feynman might have examined walking. The simple question. Feynman often approached difficult subjects by asking very simple questions. What is actually happening? What do we really know? And what are we merely assuming? When it comes to exercise, many people immediately focus on the most visible forms of training. How much can you lift? How fast can you run? How lean can you become? How intense was your workout? Those questions can be useful. Strength training, cardiovascular exercise, and sports can all play important roles in a healthy lifestyle. But there is another question that is often ignored. How much do you move during the rest of the day? A person may train hard for 1 hour and then spend the remaining part of the day sitting at a desk, sitting in a car, sitting on a sofa, and sleeping. That workout still matters, but it does not completely erase the effects of being inactive for many hours afterward. This is where walking becomes valuable. Walking does not compete with strength training. It does not replace intense cardiovascular exercise for people who are prepared for it. Instead, walking fills the spaces between those activities. It keeps the body from remaining completely still all day. And sometimes, the most useful improvement is not doing more of one intense thing, it is doing less of nothing. Why walking is different. Walking is one of the easiest forms of physical activity to understand. You do not need complicated equipment, you do not need to learn a difficult technique. You can walk indoors, outdoors, alone, or with someone else. You can walk slowly, briskly, uphill, or on a flat surface. You can walk for 10 minutes or for an hour, depending on your current ability and your goals. That flexibility is important because the best activity is not always the activity that looks most impressive. The best activity is often the one you can repeat. A highly demanding routine may produce excellent results for a short period of time, but if it leaves you exhausted, injured, or mentally discouraged, it may not last. Walking usually has a lower barrier to entry. That makes it easier to repeat tomorrow, and then the next day, and then the next month. In health, consistency is not a minor detail. Consistency is the mechanism that allows small actions to accumulate. One walk may not transform your life, but thousands of ordinary walks can change the way your body functions, the way your mind feels, and the way your daily routine is organized. The step count question. You have probably heard that 10,000 steps per day is the magic number, but life is more complicated than a single number. People differ in age, fitness, body size, occupation, health history, and physical limitations. For many people, somewhere between 6,000 and 12,000 steps per day can be a reasonable general reference point. But the more useful question may be this: are you regularly taking far fewer than 5,000 or 6,000 steps while doing very little other physical activity? If the answer is yes, increasing your movement may be a meaningful improvement. That does not mean you need to suddenly reach 10,000 steps tomorrow. It means you can begin by observing your current level and gradually adding movement. Perhaps you take a short walk after lunch. Perhaps you park slightly farther away. Perhaps you walk while listening to a lecture. Perhaps you take the stairs once or twice instead of automatically using the elevator. These actions may appear too small to matter, but the body responds to repeated signals. It does not only respond to dramatic workouts, it also responds to how often you stand, walk, change position, and use your muscles throughout the day. The goal is not to become obsessed with a number. The goal is to avoid allowing inactivity to become your default environment. Breaking up long periods of inactivity. Imagine a person who trains intensely for 1 hour in the morning. They lift weights, run, cycle, or complete a demanding workout. Then they sit for 8 or 10 hours with very few interruptions. That person is certainly more active than someone who does no exercise at all, but there may still be a simple opportunity for improvement. Break up long periods of inactivity. A brief walk during the day can create a valuable interruption. It does not need to be a second workout. It could be a 10-minute walk in the afternoon. It could be parking slightly farther away. It could be standing up, moving through the house, and taking a few minutes to reset your body. These interruptions are especially useful for people who already exercise but spend most of their day seated. The idea is simple. Do your workout if you enjoy it and can perform it safely, but also give your body opportunities to move outside the workout. Feynman would probably appreciate the distinction. A single intense experiment does not tell you everything about a system. You also need to observe what happens between experiments. The same is true of your body. Your health is influenced not only by what happens during exercise, but also by what happens during the many hours when you are not exercising. Walking and cardiovascular fitness. Walking is valuable, but there is also a role for more demanding aerobic activity. For many adults, a useful long-term routine may include several sessions of cardiovascular exercise each week. Depending on the person, this could mean 2 to 4 sessions of approximately 30 to 60 minutes. The intensity can vary. You might walk briskly, jog, cycle, swim, play a sport, or participate in another activity that raises your heart rate. One practical way to estimate moderate intensity is the talk test. If you can speak in complete sentences while exercising, you're probably working at a manageable intensity. You can hold a real conversation, although you may notice that you are breathing more deeply. As the intensity increases, conversation becomes more difficult. You may only be able to say a few words before needing to breathe. That level can be challenging and useful for some people, but it should be introduced gradually. More intensity is not automatically better. The correct level depends on your experience, your health, your recovery, and your goals. Walking can serve as the foundation. More intense aerobic activity can be added when appropriate. The important point is that movement does not have to be an all-or-nothing decision. You can combine easy activity with challenging activity. You can walk on one day, train harder on another, and recover when necessary. The Feynman principle: test what works. Richard Feynman was known for questioning assumptions. Instead of accepting an explanation because it sounded impressive, he wanted to know whether it actually worked. You can apply that approach to exercise. Do not ask only, "What is the perfect routine?" Ask, "What kind of movement can I realistically continue?" Maybe running is not enjoyable for you. Maybe a treadmill feels boring. Maybe a traditional gym routine makes you lose interest after 2 weeks. That does not mean you are incapable of being active. It may mean that the activity does not fit your personality or your environment. Walking may work better because it gives you freedom. You can change your route. You can explore a different neighborhood. You can listen to music, an audiobook, or a lecture. You can walk with a friend.
You can use it as a break from screens. You can even use it as an opportunity to think through a problem. The best form of exercise is not always the most intense. Sometimes it is the one that creates the least resistance between you and the decision to begin.
Why enjoyment matters. Many people treat exercise as if it were medicine. They imagine that healthy behavior must be unpleasant. They believe that if an activity is not exhausting, it cannot be effective. But this mindset often creates a problem. If every walk feels like punishment, you will eventually search for reasons to avoid it. Enjoyment matters because enjoyment increases repetition, and repetition is what turns an activity into a habit. This does not mean that every session must feel easy. Some types of exercise are supposed to challenge you. But your overall relationship with movement should not be built entirely on suffering. A walk can be productive without being miserable. It can be relaxing without being pointless. It can be social without feeling like a formal workout. It can give you energy instead of taking all of your energy away. This is particularly important for people who do not consider themselves cardio people. You do not have to identify as an athlete. You only need to find a form of movement that you are willing to repeat. The social advantage. There is another powerful factor that often determines whether people stay active: other people. A routine performed entirely alone can become easy to abandon. If you miss one day, nobody notices. If you miss the next day, nothing changes. Eventually, the habit disappears. But when movement becomes connected to other people, it becomes more difficult to ignore. A friend may be waiting for you. A walking group may expect you to arrive. A sports team may be meeting at a specific time. A colleague may be ready for a walking conversation. This is not about bullying anyone into exercise. It is about creating a structure that supports participation. Human beings are social. We often do things more consistently when they are connected to relationships, shared experiences, and a sense of belonging. A simple walk with another person can provide accountability, conversation, and enjoyment at the same time. That combination is often more powerful than willpower alone. You do not need to force yourself to become a different person. You can design your environment so that the active choice becomes easier. The thinking tool. Feynman was not famous because he merely collected information. He was famous because he explored ideas, he asked questions, he challenged explanations. He tried to see problems from different angles. Walking can support this kind of thinking. When you sit at a desk for too long, your attention may become narrow. You stare at the same screen. You repeat the same thought. You become frustrated because you are trying to force an answer. A walk changes the conditions. Your body begins to move. Your visual environment changes. Your breathing shifts. Your attention is no longer trapped in the same position. This does not guarantee a brilliant idea, but it can create space for connections that were difficult to notice while sitting still. A walk can help you review a decision, organize a complicated thought, or simply allow your mind to rest. Sometimes the solution does not appear because you need more pressure. Sometimes it appears because you finally gave your mind room to move. A simple plan. If you want to use walking as part of a healthier routine, begin with a plan that is almost too easy to fail. Start by observing how much you currently move. Then add a short walk to an existing part of your day. For example, after breakfast, after lunch, after work, before dinner, or during a phone conversation. If you are currently inactive, 10 minutes may be enough to begin. If 10 minutes feels comfortable, gradually increase the duration or pace. You can use a step count as a rough reference, but do not allow the number to become more important than the habit. On some days, you may walk less. On other days, you may walk more. The larger pattern matters more than one imperfect day. If you already train with weights or participate in a sport, continue to consider how much you move outside those sessions. Add brief activity breaks during long periods of sitting.
If appropriate for your health and experience, include regular aerobic sessions that make you breathe harder. And whenever possible, choose activities that are enjoyable or social. A routine that fits your life will usually outperform a perfect routine that you cannot maintain. What walking cannot do. It is also important to be honest. Walking is not a guarantee of a longer life. It does not replace medical treatment. It does not undo every unhealthy habit. It does not make sleep, nutrition, stress management, or strength training irrelevant. And more walking is not always better. If you have pain, dizziness, unusual shortness of breath, chest discomfort, or another concerning symptom, stop and seek appropriate medical guidance. If you have a medical condition, an injury, or have been inactive for a long time, speak with a qualified healthcare professional before making a major change to your activity level. The responsible conclusion is not that walking solves everything. The responsible conclusion is that regular physical activity, including walking, is consistently associated with important benefits for health and quality of life. That is already a powerful conclusion. It does not need exaggeration. Richard Feynman spent his life asking simple questions about complicated things. Walking gives us the similar opportunity. What happens when we interrupt long periods of sitting? What happens when we move more consistently? What happens when we choose an activity that we actually enjoy? What happens when movement becomes part of our social life rather than another obligation? The answer will be different for every person, but the direction is clear. Walking can support your body. It can create space for your mind. It can help you maintain a more active life. And because it is simple, flexible, and accessible, it has something many ambitious routines do not have: a realistic chance of lasting. You do not need to begin with a perfect plan. You do not need expensive equipment. You do not need to become an entirely different person. You can begin with one short walk, then another. And while you walk, you can ask the kind of question Feynman might have appreciated. What changes when I stop treating movement as a chore and start treating it as an experiment? Take the walk, observe what happens, and keep testing. If this video helped you see walking differently, share it with someone who spends too much time sitting and believes exercise only counts when it feels extreme. This video is for educational purposes only and is not medical advice. Individual responses to physical activity vary. If you have a health condition, an injury, or concerns about beginning exercise, consult a qualified healthcare professional.